welcome to U.S. Cricket Daily, the world's first podcast dedicated to Major League Cricket. I'm Peter Della, and joining me live from North Carolina, it's the one and only Aaman Patel.
Thanks, Peter. I'm back from Church Street Park, and it was a hot, humid one once again, but we got to see the LA Knight Riders get their second win of the season over the Seattle Orcas. They won by 4 wickets and with 5 balls remaining, so we've got a lot to talk about because there's some playoff implications on the line here.
And wherever you're listening to us, anywhere in the world, we want to hear from you. Just email us at hello@uscricketdaily.com. And don't forget, you can also follow US Cricket Daily on Instagram, X, TikTok, and you can watch our episodes on YouTube as well if you want to see Aman's beautiful, handsome face. Just search US Cricket Daily. And U.S. Cricket Daily is brought to you in association with Clyde Hill Publishing and its book imprints, Clyde Hill and Pulley Press, which are dedicated to founders, innovators, thinkers, and tinkers everywhere. Pre-order our book on the rise of Major League Cricket in America at ClydeHillPublishing.com. Now, it was a battle of two teams trying to work their way out of the bottom half of the table in the final occasion of MLC 2024 in Morrisville. And it was LA Knight Riders who secured the 2 points to work their way back up into playoff position. Meanwhile, the Orcas, the reigning runner-up squad from 2023, they are anchored to the bottom of the table. They are the cellar dwellers. They are in pole position for the wooden spoon, Aaman. They lose with 5 balls to spare as the Knight Riders chase down a target of 143 with 4 wickets remaining. And every so often we do see this. It was a player from the losing side who was named player of the match, Ryan Rickelton, who looked like he was on course for what would have been his second century of MLC 2024 before falling for 89. And you look at the rest of the scorecard, Aaman, it was very, very slim in terms of the runs column outside of Ryan Rickelton for the Orcas, and that's a big reason why they lost.
Yeah, they talked about it on the broadcast too, how there's only 2 guys that got up to double digits. So it wasn't very impressive what we saw from the Orcas. I didn't think the pitch was playing too many tricks. I thought the Knight Riders bowled well and bowled in particular areas, and Dre Russ was just on a different planet with the ball today. Didn't give a boundary in 4 overs, and he bowled within the power play and within the death, and to not give up a boundary is ridiculous. Shan gets out trying to play a little ramp, and I thought the QDK run out was a big moment because it was just kind of a run that was there but just kind of felt lazy, and no one was able to get going. Aaron Jones but it almost seemed to be a classic way to see Aaron Jones get out, trying for the big sweep and missing it altogether. So there wasn't much to speak of with the bat, and even with that, you would sit there and say, okay, the Orcas are still in a position on this surface to be in this game. I thought at the halfway stage they probably were 10 runs short, but it's something that could be quite a good battle.
Yeah, there was only really one weak link in the Knight Riders bowling unit. You could argue Spencer Johnson 1 for 43 in his 4 overs, but the rest of the lineup, you mentioned Andre Russell, but Cornet Drive, very valuable 2 overs, taking 1 for 8 and getting Jayasuri out, trying to attempt that scoop shot over fine leg, and it kind of went the opposite way he was actually trying to play it. Ali Khan didn't take a wicket, but none for 25, very economical. And Sonny Ryan, 1 for 21, getting Aaron Jones out. You mentioned the run out of DeCock, but there was another run out. Heinrich Klaassen got out in peculiar fashion, you could say, and that just kind of symbolized the fact that you felt like it was going to be Knight Riders' night in spite of the knock by Rickelton.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a bang-bang play. You see Narayan go up, and the thing that kind of sold it was Klaassen walked back immediately. They didn't even wait for the big board. He got told, like, he had walked basically to the boundary, and they're like, hey, like, sit there and wait for this decision. But he was certain that he was gone, and sometimes you just need those things to go your way. And I don't think LA has had a lot of things go their way in particular maybe this season. I know Mukjan feels that way. We were talking about it during the little flash at the end of the game, how certain things haven't gone in their favor, but they had that little string of luck there, and to get Klaassen out like that, I mean, it's not like Klaassen didn't look like he could make an impact, right? He scored 23 runs. He was just seeming to get going and find this pacing on this wicket, and to get him out like that you'll take that every day of the week.
Now, we saw yesterday the revenge of Jesse Singh, getting his former captain out, Kyron Pollard, in addition to 2 USA teammates now playing for Washington Freedom. taking the spot of Saurabh Netravalkar, who's on paternity leave right now. He's expecting a baby with his wife any day now, so that's why Saurabh Netravalkar is not currently with the Washington Freedom. For people who are wondering, why is the league's leading wicket taker suddenly disappearing from the squad? It's for personal reasons. And Jesse Singh stepped up yesterday and put in an impressive performance with the ball as MI New York got wiped out. We had an opportunity for Revenge Part 2 with Ali Sheikh getting into the lineup for Seattle Orcas. Very promising young talent for USA, former USA Under-19 captain. Didn't quite follow the same script as Jesse Singh, though. Ali Sheikh, he had some impressive moments in the field, and then he was only given one over. And there was even speculation from people I was interacting with during the match whether he'd even get an over at all. He looked like he was on course for the Sanjay Krishnamurti "Thanks for coming" on T20 debut. Didn't go to that extreme, and he bowled the first good 5 balls, and then that 6 to end the over. Could have easily been a wicket. Unmukchan, to me, when I was watching it on TV, looked like more of a top edge than out of the middle, and it just barely cleared the man on the boundary. And he talked about the run out of Clausen giving an indication that maybe this is Knight Riders' night. Well, moments like that as well for Unmukchan and the Knight Riders in the chase also were, to me, an indication that this is the Knight Riders' night in Morrisville.
Yeah, that went into the air, and I said that's awfully close. We had seen a couple of wickets fall in a similar fashion, right along the rope. It hit in that direction. Wind was kind of blowing the ball back in. Saw Dre Russell Smith like that later on, and was talking to Shane Bond when the wicket happened of this similar nature a little earlier in the game. But to me, what I thought Seattle got off to a really good start with the ball, but then the Harmeet Singh over just perplexed me. This is a surface that was working for the Pacers to dig it in, to bowl the cross seamers, bowl the cutters, and Cameron Gannon was bowling well. You'd just taken a wicket. It just felt like you could have kept going with Cam Gannon for that next over and waited to after the power play when things spread out to give the ball to Harmeet Singh, especially not having Ahmad Wasim. You don't have maybe the option of being as aggressive with your left arm spinners. I just felt that Harmeet Singh was brought on too early. To me, that's where things just felt weird for me. And that over goes for 13, and then Kemo Paul comes in, and then Cam Gannon comes after that. It gives up 11. But I just felt that tactically Seattle weren't as sound as maybe they had been in years past. I just felt there was a little bit of maybe it's ultra aggression or just not proper planning on that part, because I just felt that the Harmeet Singh move, especially after Shane Bond kind of told me that they want to make it boring. They just want to bowl into the wicket, hitting the top of off. Harmeet Singh is not your boring bowler. Can be boring when you get into the post power play, post those first 6 overs. But in the first 6, it's just an aggressive option, and just felt like the wrong option. And obviously hindsight's 20/20, but to me that's where I felt the game kind of swung to LA.
How much do you think they missed Wayne Parnell from last year?
I think they missed him quite a bit. Yeah, like I'll be honest, I didn't think losing Wayne Parnell would be the reason this team wasn't successful. And I do think there's a lot of different factors. I think fatigue from a lot of the South African guys like Clausen and Quinn de Kock, who were part of the IPL leading into the World Cup, playing that final, and then 4 days later playing a game in Major League. I'm sure that's taken a toll. But I think Wayne Parnell, what he brought last year was kind of a calm sense out there on the field. He has a plan. He's very thoughtful about the way he plans. And he is a very handy cricketer. Doesn't need to bowl early, can bowl in the middle, can swing it, can do a lot of different things. So he's just kind of your plug-and-play guy, can bowl in any situation. And with the bat, he was handy a little bit last year too. Now, I don't think he would have fixed the batting issues from Seattle this season, but he was just that handy plug-everything-in bowler, plug-everything-in player, and I think they miss his leadership as well. So, I think a big part of it is fatigue for a lot of these guys who've played the IPL, World Cup, so it's 3 months of continuous cricket. But I think Wayne Parnell is a big miss for them.
And McJohn, top scorers with a 62 in the chase. I'm curious, maybe we'll see a single USA qualified player last year, I believe, who scored a half century. And what I mean by that is you've got domestically qualified players under the MLC rules who did score half centuries. Corey Anderson was one of those who scored a half century last year, but at the time he was not a USA qualified player. And yet this year, we've seen Monak Patel get a half century. We've seen Andres Kraus get runs. We've seen Unmukchan now score a couple of half centuries. we've seen obviously guys like Sorab continue where they picked up last year in terms of the wickets and Cameron Gannon as well. But the batting was a bit dry last year in terms of the American players specifically, and this year it's shown a dramatic improvement. What do you credit that to?
I think opportunity is a big part of it. I think that also having had a little bit of some T20 games before this. You talk about last season, a lot of the USA players were coming off a long tour, a long qualifying tour down out there in Africa, out in South Africa, in the ODI circuit, right? They were trying to qualify for the ODI World Cup. So playing a different game, trying to come in after a month of that to try to get into T20 mode, I think proved to be very difficult for a lot of those guys. Versus this year, they're coming off a T20 World Cup. They're coming off of T20 series versus Canada versus Bangladesh. So they're playing T20 cricket. They're in that mindset, and I think that's probably a big part as to why they are playing well. And also they've seen a little bit of this competition now, as opposed to last year where they maybe never saw Trent Bolt before, or they never saw, a Lockie Ferguson. They can look back on last year, what went right, what went wrong, and they're able to kind of adjust to those scenarios as well.
One other thing that stood out over the course of this year as the season has progressed along is the willingness to give U.S. guys a chance in terms of rest and rotation or just tactics, and willing to take a shot on some of these guys. And to me, that seems like it's partly a function of the fact that you've got 2 extra games. Last year it was only 5 games, single round robin, and teams were very reluctant to experiment because one loss and you could be killing your chances of the playoffs in such a condensed slate. It looks like it's not that significant on paper, but just having those 2 extra games, to me, has provided a lot more opportunities, whether you look at MI New York and they've shuffled and rested and rotated Reuben Clinton and Stephen Taylor and Shine Jahangir in their lineup. You look at Sanjay Krishnamurti getting opportunities with the Hornets this year, and then Ali Sheikh today getting a debut. Long-awaited debut. We've been eager to see Ali Sheikh. When is he going to take the field? He was the only guy in the Knight Riders lineup last year who didn't take the field. I wonder what on earth he did. Did he kick somebody's dog? Did he do something else to offend somebody in the Unicorn squad? Or the Knight Riders squad? Why was he the only guy to not get a game out of all the players in the Knight Riders on a losing squad, a last place team? And this year, again, with the Orcas, the losing team, currently in last place in a squad where he's got 2 left-arm spinners in front of him, and Harmeet Singh and Ahmad Wasim wasn't looking good for him. And yet the Orcas, at this point, hey, they've got nothing to lose. They gave him a shot today. Didn't quite work out, but at least there's some long-term thinking in that regard that, to me, I'm encouraged by seeing, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
I think also you have these teams now have seen guys for a couple years, versus last year it's kind of you saw them at the Combine, right? And I'm not sure a lot of the teams were watching minor league cricket because it's not something that would be on their radar, so they haven't seen them. But this past year they've got them in their camps. You talk about a team like the Washington Freedom, took guys like Akhilesh Badagam and Justin Dill and Obis Pinar and Andras Kels down to Australia to play there and train there in New South Wales and try, and give them their facility. So you're seeing, a team like the MI franchise taking Nash Kenjige to the ILT20. So the Valk are getting opportunities across, over on the eastern side of the world. So you're seeing guys get opportunities. Also, you're seeing teams have these guys under their wing, under their radar, so they're able to kind of understand what their game is and kind of utilize them better than I think last year when they're all kind of fresh faces. You play the guys that you've heard of, the guys that are in good form, and when you talk about Seattle last year, they didn't rotate at all because Noman Anwar was probably the best domestic opening bat that you saw last season. Shahan Jaisaria was right up there with them amongst the runs, and Harmeet Singh bowled terrifically, and Cameron Gannon was great with the ball in hand. So there's no need to rotate that way. Versus this season where you have maybe some guys who are struggling, but you've also seen Shayan for 2 years now. You know what he can do. You can put him in different places. You saw what Ali Sheikh can be. You can bring him in. You saw Sanjay Krishnamurti. The Unicorns invested in him. He's getting in. And I know Ali Sheikh is so pumped about making a debut. He wasn't quite happy with the way it turned out, but I remember talking to him before the season, and we were talking about how he was talking about a lot of the guys in his first under-19 class have kind of made a debut somewhere, whether that's for the USA team or whether that's in Major League, and he's been on squads for both and hasn't debuted. And I think he is pumped up and about debuting, and I know he wants to put in a better performance. But I think the longer this league goes on, the more you're going to see the repetitions with these guys, the familiarity, and you're going to see them continue to get more opportunities.
So we look at opportunities in terms of where teams can move on the points table at this stage. LA Knight Riders, probably this win was more crucial for them than it may have been for the Orcas because they've only got one game left. The Orcas still have another game in hand, whereas Knight Riders have played 6. They've only got one match left to go, so they're on 5 points. They're joint with the Unicorns for third place on the points table, but the Unicorns have 2 matches in hand, and the Unicorns will be getting back in action against MI New York tomorrow at Grand Prairie Stadium. And as for the Orcas, again, they're struggling to not just get back to the final, but get back to the playoffs full stop. 2 points after 5 matches. They've got 2 more games to go, but it's not looking good for them based on how they've done, in spite of the fact that they've had some of arguably the most impressive individual performances of the season, Aaman.
Yeah, Ryan Rickelton nearly had a second century today. Cheyenne J. Soria had a half century the other day. It just they haven't put a complete game together versus last year where they were just so good at putting a game together. You had performances from other players on other teams, but this team was getting great power play batting, great stuff in the middle, and then great bowling as well. So this is a team that's kind of lost that. They haven't had that consistent array of performances all season long, and so I think that's what's kind of hurting them at this point. So they're not technically out of it. There can be some funky math that can get them in, but I reckon it's kind of it is a 2-horse battle in terms of LAKR and MI New York for that 4th spot to get into the playoffs.
Now, time for some questions. User feedback. We love it. We love hearing from you, and we want to hear more from you. Send us an email at hello@uscricketdaily.com if you want to get a question read out on air during the next episode. We'll go to Ryan, who asks, I saw a guy on TV eating what I think was churros in the crowd, and then the commentary team spoke about a new hospitality tenant in Morrisville. What else is there to eat at the Cricket? Aaman, what can you tell us?
Yeah, the hospitality tent was great. Different arrays of food, different pastas and things like that in there. But if you can't get in the hospitality tent, there's food trucks around. So they had kind of this Middle Eastern place. They had gyros and shawarma and things like that. There was a lemonade food truck where they had different kinds of lemonade. I remember one day I had a friend who went there and said they were out of regular lemonade but had strawberry lemonade, which was maybe the funniest thing from a lemonade joint. There's an ice cream spot there. There's a couple caterers that come in and out a couple of times. So there's a wide array of food that you can go get, and they won't stop you from bringing food also from elsewhere. So that if you did pick up a churro from a Mexican restaurant, say down the street that we have here in Morrisville, you could bring it on into the stadium and enjoy it at the Cricket. So you can bring in your own food if you'd like.
What I did not hear in that answer, Aaman, no pulled pork chuck. This is disappointing. We're in Carolina. The Carolina pulled pork. It's one of the best you can find anywhere in the U.S. That needs to be rectified. And I might have to put in a phone call to the Angus Barn. They got to get some representation down there. I mean, the Angus Barn, it's one of Raleigh, Morrisville's finest establishments. Come on, they got to get involved.
No, yeah, I think we got to get some more North Carolina delicacies. I'd love to see a cookout milkshake truck come out. I don't know if anyone listening knows what cookout is, but if you come to North Carolina, I'm telling you right now, get a cookout milkshake. The 900 calories are worth it. There's about 50 on the menu. It's a 600 to 900 calories. I promise you they're all 900 calories, but it's gosh darn worth it. I got Scott Styrus, Andrew Leonard, and Ian Gady, our producer. We played around at golf, and I got them all a cookout milkshake afterwards, and they quite enjoyed themselves. So if you're ever in North Carolina, cookout milkshake.
Whoa. Hold on a second. Go back. Round of golf with these guys. All right, who won? Who was the low scorer? Come on.
So we played in teams, and because I had never played with them, they gave me Scott Styrus, the best golfer of the bunch, and Styrus and I got a win. It was probably my first round in about 5 years, Peter. So I'm going to say my score. And I need you to just no judgment on the face. I know you're a very good golfer yourself. First round in 5 years, I shot a 102. Not great, not terrible. I'll take the 102 after not swinging it for a while.
Well, all that tells me is that Andrew Leonard shot 110 or 115.
No, I think he shot better. I'm not sure. I think that it was just the fact that I was on Cyrus's team. He was able to carry me to some wins there.
Where did you play?
We played. Wow, I don't even remember where we played. It was a spot in Raleigh. I can't even. It was called Heritage Club in Raleigh. It was very nice. Apparently the home of Akshay Bhatia, for those of you who watch the PGA Tour.
Ooh, Akshay Bhatia. Now he's somebody who needs to make an appearance at MLC. He's doing well on the PGA Tour.
There you go.
To have him show some love for the cricket as well. That would be something. So you heard that about Aaman's recent experiences. Some not so subtle name dropping in there. I like it. So Jimmy says South Africa's Ryan Rickelton and Faf du Plessis are top of the batting table. Is there anyone better at batting than this pair in MLC 2024?
Well, in the tournament's brief history, I would say that Nicholas Quillen is probably the most successful batter in the entire tournament. But as of this year, it doesn't seem like there's anyone who's playing better. I think Matthew Short has an argument. He was pretty decent for most of last year and has played really well. Steve Smith has been good this year. But the way Rickelton and Faf are playing this season. Now, if you were to talk about last season as well, Faf might be a little bit lower on the list, but. In 2024, I'm not sure there's many better batters.
Angela says, was this the last match at Morrisville? Yes. Question 2, what happens to Aaman after this?
I'll still be on with you, Peter, still talking about the league. I'm always going to be watching the league, but it's been kind of a whirlwind of a couple of months. Graduated in May, went to the World Cup in June, and the Major League in July, so it'll be nice to kind of have maybe a little step aside from a role anywhere in cricket.
So what you're saying is you didn't do an ollie shake with the Night Riders last year. You didn't accidentally kick somebody's dog in the ownership group of the broadcast crew with Rise Productions. Everything's good.
Everything's all good. We're all good there. I loved working with Rise. They've been great. So many great people. Yeah, it's been a blast working with them, and I don't think I've offended anybody. If I have, if you guys are listening, I am very, very sorry to whoever I've offended.
Oh, everything's good with it. Everybody loves Aaman. Aaman's getting some great feedback on the broadcast. He's been doing fantastic work throughout the MLC broadcasts that have been shown on many, many platforms this season. And again, you can ask Aaman some more questions about his golf game, his golf rebirth, or anything else that's happening in North Carolina or in Texas for that matter with Major League Cricket at hello@uscricketdaily.com. And we'll hopefully hear some more questions from all of the listeners and watchers out there on our next episode, which we'll have following the contest between MI New York and San Francisco Unicorns tomorrow night in Texas. But that'll do it for this episode. On behalf of Aaman Patel, I'm Peter Della. Thanks for joining us for US Cricket Daily. We'll see you next time.